Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oxnard Planning Commission for Thursday, November 16, 2023. The meeting will come to order at 6:01 p.m. The public may view the meeting from home on the city's website, Spectrum Channel 10, Frontier Channel 35, or on the city's YouTube website. To participate in the meeting, the public may provide comments to the Planning Commission via email at planning@oxnard.org no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting, or through the city's website at oxnard.org/city-meetings, or call the Planning Division office. Additionally, those wishing to speak can dial the phone number listed at the bottom of the screen, follow the instructions to access the meeting, and press star 9 to raise your hand, indicating your intention to speak on the agenda item being discussed. Madam Secretary, can we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Connolly? Here. Commissioner Dr. Lopez?
Here.
Commissioner Nash?
Present.
Commissioner Sealsdorf? Here. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart?
Here.
Chair Rejo?
Present.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We will now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Connolly, will you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Connolly. The next agenda item is C, public comments on items not on the agenda. At this time, a person may address the Planning Commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission, including information, consent items, and any time not appearing on the agenda. The Planning Commission cannot take action on any item presented during public comments that is not on the agenda, and such item may only be referred to the Commission Secretary. Persons wishing to speak on public hearing items should do so at the time of the public hearing. Madam Secretary, are there any public comments for items not on the agenda?
We do not have any comments.
Thank you very much. The next agenda item is D, consent agenda, approval of the minutes for D1, August 3, 2023, and D2, September 7, 2023. Please review, and if there are no corrections offered, a motion to approve is in order. Commissioner Connolly.
So moved.
I'll second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Connolly and seconded by Vice Chair Dr. Stewart that the approval of the minutes for D1, August 3, 2023, and D2, September 7, 2023 are approved.
Chair, sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Pearson.
There was actually one edit that was raised by one of the commissioners to the minutes for September 7th. Under the recommendations for the single room occupancy parking requirements, it was noted that there's still the requirement for the one space, but the recommendation from the commission was to remove the vehicle parking requirements and just have the one easily accessible long-term bicycle storage space per unit.
Okay, thank you very much. Without objection, that amendment will be included Commissioner Nash.
Also, under roll call A, I was indeed present for that meeting. It shows that I was absent, but I was here.
And Commissioner Nash, that's for the September 7 meeting also, correct?
Pardon?
That's for the September 7 meeting
Yes.
also too. Okay, thank you. If there's no objections, those two recommendations, one read by Mr. Pearson and noted by Commissioner Nash, will be included in the minutes. Seeing no objections, those are included in the motion. If there's no further corrections, Madam Secretary, can we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez?
Abstain.
Commissioner Nash?
Aye.
Commissioner Sealsdorf?
Yes.
Chair Rejo?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next is Section E, ex parte declarations for public hearing items. Please state any ex parte declarations, if any. I'll go across the dais. Commissioner Connolly.
None, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
None, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Zilstorf.
None, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, and none from me. The next agenda item is Public F, or Section F, Public Hearing. Per Measure M, staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. The first agenda item F1, project name Verizon Wireless Monopine Tower, planning and zoning permit number 23-530-02, special use permit wireless, located at 2400 Eastman Avenue. A request to construct a 65-foot tall wireless communication facility designed to resemble a pine tree with an associated ground equipment enclosure on a 2 3/4 acre lot in the M1 zone. The request includes the allowance for an increase in height from 40 feet to 65 feet. The project is located within an open area of the lot used for storage by an existing industrial business. The project is categorically exempt in accordance with Section 15303 pursuant to provisions of CEQA guidelines followed by designated agent Franklin Roscoe on behalf of Verizon Wireless, City Staff Daniel Hook, Associate Planner. Does staff want to provide summary or additional analysis at this time?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to make one clarification. In the staff report, I believe it said eucalyptus at one point. That was a typo. It is for a pine, as is in the title.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. If there's no other analysis from staff at this time, and if there's no objection, we'll have the applicant the applicant present at this time if there's any. Is the applicant here? And you have 10 minutes at your pleasure.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Franklin Orozco, here on behalf of AnthemNet and Verizon. The project is for a cell phone tower that will be a co-locatable tower for up to 4 carriers. Their first 2 carriers or tenants for AnthemNet are going to be Verizon and Dish Wireless that will be coming on board. We've read through the resolution and conditions of approval. We don't have any issues with that, and thank you for considering this project tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Orozco. At this time, members may ask questions of the applicant and staff. Commission. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
Yes, you said the first 2. My understanding is that only 3 carriers can exist on a tower. Is that true?
We have space for 4 carriers.
Oh, for 4.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
And would you be able to accommodate more than 4 carriers if there was an interest and need from other providers?
If the overall height of their antennas work for them, there might be an opportunity. We have on the ground reserve a 20 by 20 space for each carrier, but if there is an opportunity to add any other type of communication system that may use a smaller footprint, that may be a possibility.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked that, I'm not quite sure what service provider the city or our public safety uses now, but I do remember at a time there was a terrible train derailment accident right there. And so I really sympathize with the concern for, better service, primarily in the case of a public safety or public emergency. And my second question was, and I'm just speculating, right? Like for the city of Oxnard, we have a couple of, what can I call them, outdated structures that have been decommissioned, right? Like on the beaches. They ran their life, we're converting to something else. And I'm just wondering in terms of the future, 100 years from now, if we would be in place with a potential, eyesore, not for us now, but at some point down the line, do you anticipate that there will always be a need for cellular service, or in terms of technology, is there something that Verizon, for example, or other carriers are striving and moving towards?
At this point, as far as the technology is concerned and the power of our individual cell phones to be able to reach, farther distances, it is going to be critical to have land-based systems along with everything else. I know that there is a push, for satellite communication in the future. However, our phones are not designed to be able to, send the signal that far. So it's going to be a combination of the two, and therefore, most of these carriers and providers have leases, long-term leases with the property owners for that purpose.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any others from the commission? Commissioner Dr. Stewart.
Yes, so I'm assuming that the higher up you are on that monopole, the wider your coverage is. Is that correct?
It does depend on the type of technology. So
Okay.
Verizon has different types of technologies that they are serving, both new 5G as well as older technologies, LTE as well, because we have populations that have different types of phones, and so there is the 5G technology, even though it's brand new. Has a much shorter reach than actually the 800, 700 megahertz type of technology. So it is a combination of the two. We did provide coverage maps that show basically what the current situation is. There is actually an existing site at the corner for Verizon that's going to be removed due to the overpass construction that's happening in the future. So that's where there's a need to be able to replace that. But yeah, it really depends on the different carriers. For example, Dish Wireless is completely 5G technology. They're not really serving other technologies and older technologies.
Right.
But yeah,
And what is the separation needed between the different carriers on the pole?
typically the safe distance between the antenna rad centers, that we call it, is about 10 feet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. I had a couple of questions for myself, one to the applicant and the second to the applicant or staff. The first is currently right now, the individuals in that proposed area, is it that they have no service at all or it's extremely limited? What do they have right now? And obviously I can see that with this construction, they would actually have what you might call regular service. Is that correct?
Yes, it is actually both, because, I guess as mentioned, is Verizon does have an existing site on a utility pole that basically doesn't have the array of antennas and services that this particular new unit will have. There are going to be, I think, 12 antennas total. So there is a combination of the two, because Verizon does have, but with being on a much taller pole as well, they're going to have their reaches are different from the current location. Dish, on the other hand, doesn't have any coverage whatsoever. They're scheduled to turn on services next year, and so there is really no coverage for Dish at this point.
Okay, thank you for that. And then the second is there a reason that this wasn't done before? Is there a reason now it's being done, or you just have the resources, or that you feel that an upgrade is needed at this time, given that there's more residents here? I just want to know the timing, why now, not earlier or later?
The individual carriers do analyze their demand over time, and they see where population growth happens and or are considering that as well. And if there is a need to be able to then split the cell areas due to extensive amount of capacity, that's really one of the reasons why you have additional towers being built. In terms of Verizon, again, this would be, they are there, but they're going to be replacing an existing site that's there. Again, with better coverage. For Dish, it'll be brand new.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission? Vice Chair Dr. Stewart?
Yes, so with this new antenna, I've seen the total map for the city. and there's still a lot of holes. So I'm assuming that this is not there'll be many antennas that you'll be looking to install. Is that the case?
I'm working with AnthemNet. AnthemNet is a built-to-suit company for the carriers. And so we are constantly looking towards our wireless partners to be able to let us know what their needs are. We are looking in other areas. I'm currently working on a couple other areas to the west and also towards the freeway. They may also be co-locatable towers that we're trying to anticipate. Not only we have a need for our current tenant who's really looking for, in this case Verizon, and the other two cases Verizon as well, but AT&T as well have approached us and said, hey, do you have an opportunity somewhere in this area that you are looking at building cell sites, or can you build cell sites for us?
Okay, thank you. I do like the fact that you're trying to co-locate so we don't have all these antennas out there and that we minimize the footprint.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Question to staff. Just curious, you mentioned the typo on it not being a eucalyptus, as was indicated in the staff report, and it really being a pine tree reflected. Are there others that were considered, or why did we decide on the pine tree versus others?
Generally, from what I know, there's like three main ones, the monopalm, the eucalyptus, and the pine. It was submitted as a pine. We could have suggested one of the other types, but we felt that the pine aesthetically is the best looking, and we were pleased with their materials board that they submitted, so we moved forward with that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. There's no other questions from the commission. We'll move on to public comment. Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
None.
Thank you very much. The public hearing is now closed. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
None, Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to deliberation. Commission. Commissioner Nash.
I'm ready to make a motion if there's no further deliberation. I move that we find the project exempt from CEQA review, section to the appropriate section 15303, and that we adopt the resolution approving planning and zoning permit number 23-530-02, subject to certain findings and conditions.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. It's been moved by Commissioner Nash, seconded by Vice Chair Dr. Stewart, the recommended action as presented in our agenda. Is there any further deliberation on the motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly.
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Sealsdorf.
Yes.
Chair Orejo.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. We'll move on to agenda item F2, Santiago Industrial Suites tentative map, planning and zoning permit numbers 23-500-08 and 22-300-03 for a tentative subdivision map for condominium purposes located at 1400 Graves Avenue and 2301 Santiago Court. The applicant requests a tentative subdivision map and special use permit to subdivide a 4.16 acre lot for condominium purposes. The project site is the location of a recently approved and under construction development of 2 industrial buildings containing 12 tenant spaces each. The tentative subdivision map would subdivide the property to create 1 lot for common area and 24 lots matching the buildings for industrial condominiums. Project is category exempt in accordance with section 15301 pursuant to CEQA. City staff Lisa Gordon and Jay Dobrowolski. At this time, does staff want to provide summary or additional analysis at this time?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, staff has no further comments. The presentation is posted, available online. The applicant team is also here for any questions.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the commission. I'm sorry, I skipped a skip. If there's no objection, we'll have the applicant present at this time, if you have any, and you have 10 minutes.
Hello, Chair and Commission. Thanks for hearing this tonight. I'm with CCI, California Commercial Investment. We're the developer of the site. We've built prior in Oxnard, and we have reviewed the staff presentation and looks like it covers most bases there. Certainly here to answer any questions that you may have. We've reviewed the conditions of approval and agreed to them, including the condition that we're going to repave the streets in front of Santiago and Graves to a specification greater than the surrounding city streets. So very much appreciate your consideration of this, and any questions you have, I am here to answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, members may ask questions of either the applicant and/or staff. Commission, Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. So your intention is to build out the project, and after you sell all of the units, that is the end of your involvement?
A little different. We are building, it's a 24-unit industrial site. The current owners, Santiago Investment, OZLP, is going to retain ownership of 12 of the condos, and 12 are for sale. And will remain involved owners, part of the HOA and the ongoing success of the project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Any others from the commission? Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
So just for clarification, and I'm sorry if I just completely missed it. Are these business condo units, or are people all going to be living in them, or are they mixed where they will live and work?
Industrial condos. People will run businesses out of them, or storage, that type of thing.
Okay, but
not residential.
Okay,
No.
perfect. Thank you.
Yes, no.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any others from the commission? Oh, Commissioner Nash.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to address Dr. Lopez's question about the condominiums. I think that was the first time that I've encountered that phrase in use with business units. So I also asked our staff, which is it? Is it residential or is it business? So is this? I would ask staff, is this something new or? Because it's easy to confuse us sometimes. So.
Yes, Commissioner Nash, a condominium is typically associated with residential uses. However, the condominium term relates to a map, and so it can be industrial as well as residential uses. In this case, the property is zoned for light industrial, that's ML uses. And while there's no residence on the site, there are 2 industrial buildings. Those buildings will be divided into individual condominiums. And the purpose of the map is so that each condominium can be sold separately.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Connolly.
So just for clarification, would the purchasers of the individual units, would they own the land as well that the unit sits on, or they would just own what's in between the 4 walls?
The actual ownership is what's in between the 4 walls, but the legal description, I believe, entails 1/24 of the common area as well. The association itself would oversee all the common areas, the exterior of the buildings. The interior would be the individual owner's responsibility.
Perfect, thank you. And then I'm familiar with a similar building like this in Ventura off Market Street, where it's the roll-up garage, there's businesses in there, and then I know from firsthand experience that some of those units do have like an apartment type loft situation in them that owners have resided in. Is that even an option in this sort of situation, or no? It would not be residential at all?
It's not an option. It's not built out to that way. It's not plumbed. It's not, the electric is in there for that type of thing.
Okay.
It's not zoned for that, so.
Perfect. Thank you.
It wouldn't be something in this situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Conley. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Question for staff. In the public comment slide 13 of the presentation, it said that to date, staff has not received public comments and that one isn't necessary because it doesn't necessarily lay or exist within an existing neighborhood. But I believe I caught that there was a reference to apartments across the street. Was there still a sign posted for a public notice?
Yes, Commissioner. This public notice was posted on site as well as in the newspaper.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. And one question from me. I was, pleasantly surprised that I really do feel that we need more smaller spaces. So I'm glad that there is that opportunity because I believe in that area, which is adjacent to the neighborhood that I live in. It's mostly larger type spaces. So that's great. And I just want to know like what got you to that, to subdivide it, because I'm pretty sure there was an option to not subdivide it.
Ultimately, the use of it had to do with the needs to be best served to the neighborhood and the underwriting of the economics of what could best be achieved to actually be able to build this. And that size unit for that property was both economically feasible and served the need in the area to the best that we could.
Okay, thank you. I assumed that was the reason due to the economics, and I just wanted to put that in my back pocket for the future. So thank you very much for that, sir. Is there any other questions from the commission at this time? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
None.
Thank you very much. The public hearing is now closed. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
Thank you, Chair. No, none at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to deliberation. Commission. Seeing no deliberation, a motion is now in order. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I'd like to move the recommended action.
It has been moved by Commissioner Dr. Lopez to find the project to be categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15301K, adopt Resolution 2023-XX, recommending that the City Council approve planning and zoning permit 22-300-03 for a tentative subdivision map, subject to certain findings and conditions, and adopt Resolution 2023-XX, approving planning and zoning permit number 23-500-08 for a special use permit, subject to certain findings and conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Conley. Is there any further deliberation on the motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Dr. Lopez?
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Aye.
Commissioner Sealsdorf?
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart?
Yes.
Chair Rejo?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much and congratulations. We'll move on to Section G, study session reports, and with none on the agenda, we'll move on to Planning Commission business. Commission, is there any business to report? Commissioner Conley. Oh. That's fine. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart?
I can't think what it was. Oh, I was looking at the deck, and it's more of a curiosity question, and I didn't know a place to ask it, but it talked about the resource. When it talked about the police department, it talked about the fire department, and then it talked about some kind of resource agency or something, and I'm trying to think, what is that?
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart, I believe that might be referring to the Environmental Resources Division, which is the division that oversees like our waste, so like trash pickup.
Okay.
So they review the projects through the DAC process to ensure that adequate trash enclosures are being provided and that the location of the enclosures are appropriate for the trucks that need to pick them up.
Okay, I guess I used to old name like refuge or something like that. So I looked at that and I didn't see any comments from them in there. So I thought, well, okay, but thank you for that.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. And just one from mine, a little bit of a follow-up from previous in the future is the bylaws that were passed by the Planning Commission a couple of years ago. It's now finally going on to the City Council this upcoming Tuesday. And I think whatever action that they may make on that, I know that at least a couple of us commissioners were wanting a couple more changes to the bylaws. And so I just want to just say in advance, not asking for any formal action, but I think it would be good to have some type of agenda item just to consider all the Planning Commission bylaw changes that we might want to make. I don't think we need a separate committee for that at this time. But just putting that out, that it will be in order after City Council action that I assume that they'll go through with that this upcoming Tuesday. So that's all from me. And if there's nothing else from the Commission, we'll go on to Community Development staff. Is there any update from the Community Development staff, Mr. Pearson?
So, yes, Chair Rejo, as you mentioned, yes, the bylaws are going next Tuesday at 6 o'clock to the City Council on the report items. And then also for the next meeting of the Planning Commission, I believe it's December 7th, we have one consent item, which would be the 2024 calendar, because the year's already over somehow. So that calendar will be coming before the Commission for approval of the 2024 calendar. And then we have 3 items currently scheduled for that meeting. A Starbucks over at Lemon Grove Plaza, another wireless tower, which you guys had mentioned earlier. There's more coming. So yes, there are a couple that we have in process, the next of which will be coming at our next meeting. And then an alcohol use permit. So we have those 3 items coming on our December 7th meeting, as well as the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Are there any questions from the Commission? Seeing and hearing none, if there's no further business, the meeting will be adjourned. If there's no objection, seeing and hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all, and good night. Happy Thanksgiving. See you all in 3 weeks. Thank you.